Well, having talked about literature and its different types, now we shall focus on the meaning of the term poetry. As the title itself is appreciating poetry, you are going to learn some poems, you are going to learn some theory of poetry, you are going to understand the history of English poetry. Well, for since ancient times, man has always tried to express his emotions, share his moral, physical experiences. Okay, means man tries to express himself, express his or her emotions, express experiences, share the ecstasies and agonies, means the situations of happiness and sadness. Man tries to communicate it to others, communicate the triumphs and frustrations, glories and shame into words. So all of us try to capture, encapsulate the emotional, moral, and physical experiences. Our ecstasies. Ecstasy means extreme happiness. Agonies means extreme sadness. Vedana, dukkha, ananda. Triumphs means our victory. Or failure, frustrations out of, when you fail to do something, when you don't get success, then time we experience frustration. Sometimes we feel very happy, we talk about our achievements, and sometimes we may feel guilty, shameful, and all these emotions have to be captured into words, encapsulated into words. And it is here that poetry helps us. Now poetry, because of its formal style, is different as compared to other forms of literature, other literary texts, ordinary literary texts, we can say. So it is one of the ancient, most ancient and widespread literary art. You might be knowing that. Means our ancient scripture means not only Indian. I'm talking about the world. Means all scriptures. Scriptures means the religious books, Dharma Grantha. All of them are in poetic language, sir. When you talk about, the holy Quran, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Holy Bible, or when you talk about Srimad Naneshwari, okay, all these are in the poetic form itself. Therefore, probably the poetry is the oldest form of literature. Okay. Now, while talking about the examples of ancient poems, we can talk about, the mythological stories. For example, the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Vedas. See, Ved we talk about, Atharva Ved, the Juru Ved, etc. All of them are in poetic form, and even in English, many important, mm, ancient works are in the poetic form itself. Now, what does Sir Philip Sidney say about poetry? How does he define poetry? So, Sir Philip Sidney says, all the imaginative literature is poetry. You should note it down. According to Sir Philip Sidney, the Elizabethan poet that you are going to study, all the imaginative literature is poetry. Whatever literature is imaginative, that is called poetry. During the Greek period, the term literature was not used. Even until recently, the term literature was not common. Everything was called poetry. So, according to Philip Sidney, all the imaginative literature is poetry. Then the modern writer, poet, of the 20th century. T.S. Eliot says poetry is the imagination that presents its subject with clarity, precision, and economy of language. So, this particular definition by T.S. Eliot underscores the characteristics of poetry. We need to understand that there should be the imagination in poetry, and in poetry the subject matter is presented by using imagination. Emotions are presented, experiences are presented by using imagination, and it presents its subject with clarity. There is no confusion, there is a clarity. Everything is clear. Clarity, the noun form of clear. Then precision means in a very compact manner. Poetry is not generally, lengthy like novel. It is precise, and there is economy of language. The poet tries to use less number of words. Okay, so these are some of the features of poetry. Now, what Coleridge says about poetry. We need to understand that. Before that, I would like to tell you that poems that we use in the classroom, because they are briefer, they are brief, and they are more compact than the literary essays or short stories. One more definition I would like to discuss here. This definition is given by S.T. Coleridge, the Romantic poet of 18th century, 18th and early 19th century, we can say. He defines poetry as the best words in the best order. The best words. A poet selects best words, and the poet keeps them or arranges them in the best order. Now, I often quote, suppose you see something beautiful, a beautiful natural scene. So the way we express our emotions towards that beauty is different from the way the poet expresses. Now, I would like to quote Bal Kavi here for your information. He says, "Hirve hirve gar galiche, harit trunacha makhamaliche." Now look at the way these are the best words, and these words are arranged in best order. Hirve hirve gar galiche. How the selection of words is made. Gar galiche, g g. There is an alliteration. Hirve hirve gar galiche, harita trunacha makhamaliche. So this makes poetry different from the other forms of expression. In poetry, we come across best words in the best order. Now, when you read poetry, you can develop the habit of becoming intensive reader, because it reflects the culture of a society, and it mirrors, okay, it acts as a mirror, rather mirror of the changing times of a nation, a country. I would like to here tell you one more definition, a very famous definition of poetry, that is by William Wordsworth. One more, yet another romantic poet. William Wordsworth defines poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. This is the definition given by William Wordsworth. Poetry is spontaneous. Spontaneous means something which comes without any kind of hindrance. उत्स्फूर्तपणे, overflow. When you see something beautiful, when you see something pathetic, your emotions overflow spontaneously. Okay, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. This is one part. And in the second part, he says, recollected in tranquility. Recollected means to remember. To recollect means to remember. Okay. When a person is in tranquility, tranquility means loneliness. When a person is alone, then time a person remembers those emotions, and then a person composes a poem. So that is what poetry is. It is a spontaneous overflow. आपण मराठीमध्ये त्यांना काय उत्कट भावनांचा आविष्कार असं म्हणू शकतो. कविता म्हणजे उत्कट उत्स्फूर्त भावनांचा आविष्कार आहे. आपल्या भावना मनामध्ये भरून येतात आणि त्या भावना व्यक्त होतात, आविष्कार होतो त्यांचा. सो दॅट इज व्हॉट पोएट्री इज. ओके, we shall go ahead with now with some other aspects of poetry. You need to understand that poetry is different because of its colorful language, because of its rhythm, its rhyme, its meter. Meter means there are different rules of arranging these words. For example, we understood that St. Coleridge defines poetry as the best words and in best order. But these best words are arranged in the best order by using certain rules, and that is called meter. Okay, so meter is the set of rules governing the number and arrangement of syllables in each line. Then a poet uses sounds, images, and ideas. For example, you learn nursery rhymes. You will see the use of sounds. For example, twinkle, twinkle, little stars, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so far, like a diamond, okay, in the sky. Do you understand the arrangement of the words here, the arrangement of sounds? And there are images as well. Twinkle, twinkle, little stars, how I wonder what you are. So that arrangement makes it different from the day-to-day language. And there are certain rules in arranging poetry. That is what makes it different from prose. So poetry has a kind of beauty. It has got a kind of humor, and it helps us memorize the information very easily. Poetry makes us, therefore the ancient scriptures are available in poetic forms. We talk about shloks, etc. They are in poetic forms because that helps us remember it easily. In school days, in nurseries and UKG, LKG, etc., everything is taught in poetic form to children because that helps them to remember the things easily. In this manner, we understand the importance of poetry in our day-to-day life, and we also try to understand how poetry is an imaginative work which appeals to our emotions.